Mayberry, and it's just an amazing day as we enter into this astrological transition going on. I don't think people realize how powerful these transitions are. We are moving in as we speak. Actually, yesterday at 6:30 in the morning, Jupiter moved into Leo. And so Carolyn and I are just really looking forward to talking about it and talking about some really cool astrological stuff. We've been having some fun conversations lately, and I think it's an exciting time, and we want to share our thoughts about it with you
Absolutely.
guys.
Absolutely. I think me and Chrystal have actually, or Chrystal and I have actually had some very awesome conversations behind the scenes, and what better time to kind of bring it to light and into the sun than when Jupiter moves into Leo. And
Yeah.
it's always really exciting and kind of a big shift up whenever one of those outer planets, one of those slower moving planets changes signs, because it kind of just shifts the vibe and the focus for the entire planet, and it doesn't happen that often.
Yeah, it really doesn't. And when you start studying your own chart, I find it really fascinating, something I've been doing. And, to go back and even in history, 12 years ago, what was happening in your life. And when you follow or you use astrology, to really, like a map, to kind of guide the different things going on in your life. That's how I see it. It's like the weather. And when I think back about into my life 12 years ago, I was starting a new journey. I had just gotten my ranch, and I was building this business. And as things would have it, sometimes things seems to go off course a little bit. And it's really interesting because my life has began to get back on course. Those plans that I were planning, it's like they have a new chance. And this time, I have 12 years of wisdom to do it differently. So I just really encourage people to really follow these changes in their life and learn how to use this energy.
Absolutely. And for some of the younger astrologers or astro people that love astrology or just starting to dabble into it, like myself, when the last time Jupiter was in Leo, I was 12 or 13. So it was like those preteen awkward, like, what's the word? Rites of passage almost. So it's going to be really interesting to see now that I'm an adult how this transit really affects me, and it's also kind of I'm kind of excited because I actually have my Jupiter in Leo, so I'll be having my Jupiter return, and I also have my Mercury in Leo, which is actually conjunct my Jupiter in my natal chart. So it should be a very, I think, a very sunshiny, spotlighty, exciting, dramatic year for me.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is incredible that you are having your Jupiter return right now. And I think it's really interesting because, when you think about Jupiter, think about the year before your Jupiter return. So Jupiter is in Cancer. Every time it's going to follow this pattern. And it's almost like we get 3 or 4 years of our life surrounding our Jupiter return, because any signs that are 2 signs away are harmonious or right next to. So it's building you to this point. The last 2 years have been preparing you for this Jupiter return, if you think about it. And the next 2 years are going to even take it for a ride. It's like it will continue to build. So I always like to look at not just your Jupiter return, but the 2 before and the 2 after, because they're going to play a very powerful period of time for you. And you having a moon in Cancer.
Actually, Sun in Cancer.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I'm
Actually,
sorry. I'm looking at your chart. Sun in Cancer. That's right. Wow. So how was last year for you? What did you notice?
Well, last year and this year, well, first of all, I have never had Sun conjunct. Well, actually, I just had my Sun conjunct Mercury transit or whatever. But I think it's interesting that this actual transiting sun and Jupiter, normally they conjunct in every sign, but Jupiter was moving a little too fast for the sun and never actually conjuncted with the sun in Cancer before moving into Leo, which is kind of interesting. But my birthday is on Friday, the 18th, and I had my Jupiter conjunct Sun, so it was very good. I mean, I was expecting a little bit more, to be honest. Maybe that's just because, you know, of all the optimism and whatnot, but it's been a really successful year, and I think that sometimes people don't realize how much they've actually accomplished. Like me, I'm Mars and Venus conjunct in Virgo, so I'm always scrutinizing everything that I didn't do right and whatnot. But it's been a really big year. It was my first year on the job, actually. It'll be my 1-year anniversary at the end of August. So I'm really excited for what Jupiter is going to do in my career this year. It's already, I mean, I love my job. So just landing this job while Jupiter was in Cancer is a great example of kind of the benefits. And what does my job do for me? Well, it gives me the means to create the home family foundation that I crave and that I've been studying for years in college, trying to get a degree so I can get a good job and do just that. So one step closer to the goal, I guess.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think, you know, we do need to take the time to really embrace those milestones, because I think it's interesting that, you know, Jupiter in Cancer is kind of at the tail end of it. It's still highlighting you right now. And as Mercury and Venus move into Cancer at the end of this month here, okay, that's kind of happening as we speak, you're going to get another push. And it's about understanding that these are like seeds being planted, but they're not weeds. They're seeds. They're solid. And a lot of times we have a lot of seeds being planted in our life, but a lot of them kind of grow and then they don't take off. But when Jupiter's behind the picture, it's you know, it's expansive. It has a special quality to it that creates, it's almost like it puts your life on the track it's supposed to go. And then we work on that process for 12 years. And then sometimes we get off track a little bit. And then that 12-year period says, all right, you got off track a little bit. Let's put things back where they're supposed to go. So it's those little miracles that come in. It's kind of like those things that you know, they're little miracles, but they're lasting. You know, that kind of job that you got this year is going to probably be a powerful learning process, security for you the next 12 years. Now, you might go in different directions, but this is the beginning of laying the foundation. Like you said, you want that security, and Jupiter knows that. Created you for that. So, you know, and remember, this energy plays out for 12 years, so you're going to still see the benefits coming. So I think that's kind of exciting for you.
Very.
Yeah. Well, and think about it. You also have, this is where I like to look at even a little bit ahead. You also have your 10th house in Virgo. Okay? You have Venus and Mars in Virgo. So next year, when Jupiter moves into Virgo, now you're really getting solid. Now that solid financial, you know, all those great things that Virgo does, building a business, entrepreneurship, you know, products, any direction you want to go, when Jupiter moves into your 10th house, that's the time to really launch those things. Okay, then, look how lucky you are. Then Jupiter's going to move into Libra. You've got the moon in Libra. Then you're like really spoiled here. Jupiter's going to move into Scorpio. You've got the ascendant in Scorpio. So do you see how you want to look at this as a bigger theme playing out? Kind of cool, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, actually, I've got Saturn that's going to be coming over my ascendant not too far from now, so I'm kind of excited actually for Saturn to move into my first house and kind of just give me that credibility and the motivation to really put the building blocks in place for my career because that's really where I'm at. I'm going to be turning 23 on Friday, so I'm very young, and I'm just starting to really gain experience and learn from the experiences that I have and whatnot. So I'm excited for Saturn to kind of give me a grounded, realistic first house so that I'll come off that way to other people and whatnot. And then I've also got all this Jupiter, so it is going to be I feel like a very propelled next like 5-6 years for me, where it's going to be all about kind of finding myself in my career. And then the thing is, there's also, obviously, this is not my job, talking about astrology on videos and networking with astrologers and just learning and whatnot. That's like my passion. So I'm trying to find a way to like merge the two somehow, or maybe just, I don't know, do like some sort of like self-employed thing for astrology while I'm doing like an actual job and whatnot. So, I mean, I'm excited to see how the puzzle ends up coming, because I'm kind of the type of person, I'm a Scorpio rising, I'm a Cancer, I just really go with the flow and trust the universe.
Right.
It's really, it hasn't done me wrong yet. So.
No, you were very tuned in to that. Well, the other thing that makes you so tuned in that I think, you know, is that you do have Saturn in Aquarius retrograde. Okay, that's powerful. Now, you've had Saturn in Scorpio squaring that, kind of holding you back, kind of...
Oh, God, that was awful. Oh, flashbacks. No.
Yeah, Saturns were like, oh, my gosh. But once you get into Christmas here, and for those out there who have Saturn in Taurus, Leo, or Aquarius, especially Scorpio, as Saturn moves out of Scorpio, it's going to be like that pressure and that dark cloud just kind of starts to lift and opens the doors for all the hard work. Because that's what Saturn does. It brings reality, and it makes you really not miss the details. You know, you don't get to be in la-la land too much. It keeps things, you know, in order because it's preparing you. It's laying that foundation, but that Aquarius gives you that ability to really do well on the internet, to really work on the internet. I think that's really amazing. I don't think people realize that, you know, the ability to know what's going to happen before what happens and the trends of the internet. Those of you who have that Saturn in Aquarius or any other Aquarius placements, you know, this is the time for businesses out here on the internet, because you guys really know how, you know, you just have that intuition. So you're going to get freed up there too.
Yeah, and I think it also really comes down to just the love and almost visceral need to spread the knowledge that I've learned through the internet, because the internet is such an amazing, unprecedented tool where everyone has their soapbox, you know. Everyone has access to any information that they could possibly want, and not just, actual published information. So yes, you will have some not so credible resources on there as well, but as a Scorpio rising, I have this really great talent to just kind of sift through the shit to find kind of the obscure yet credible sources.
Yeah.
And so I just have this weird like thing about researching things, and then I'll want to, you know, spread the wealth of what I've learned. And I think that a lot of people in my Pluto and Scorpio generation are doing the same thing, because there's been such a suppression of real truth and real information and real news in the mainstream channels like cable TV and even mainstream online sources. It's all completely whitewashed, and it's almost like the Pluto and Scorpio generation has this, they just see right through it, and they are taking it upon themselves, and I'm just speaking for myself at least, to kind of be the change, you know, to quote Gandhi and whatnot. So
I think that's amazing, and actually, Carolyn, that's one of the things that I fell in love with your channel, because although I'm a Pisces rising and a Pisces moon, I will admit that I tend to want to bury my head in sand, because we don't like reality, because it's just so harsh. The truth is like, oh, really? we want to continually create a new dream world that somehow we could bring that in and it would override all of this ugly truth. But that's not always the reality. And for such a young woman, you have such a gift, and you are so intelligent for understanding what's really going on in our world. And with that Scorpio rising and that moon in Libra, you know, it's like I have to make things right for my generation. And I think it's an amazing gift. I know it's a hard gift to have. I always call, you know, Scorpio risings or people with Scorpio kind of like the prophet. It's like you speak the truth, and, you know, it's hard. People don't want to hear it because you get right to it. But we need to hear it because for so long our earth has just been, you know, really abused and taken for granted. You know, and when you do look at the generations before us, you know, you look at that period of Pluto in Cancer. Well, it was all about family and all about those, you know, Leave It to Beaver kind of structures, you know, where everybody was in this, you know, almost not reality there. But when, you know, Pluto moved into Leo, we love Leo, but Leo is all about, you know, creating the bigger picture, not always looking at the needs or having empathy for the earth, the animals, the world, because, you know, how big can we make this world? How grandiose can we have it? But as Pluto in Capricorn has moved in, breaking up this system, shaking everything up, it's ushering in your generation.
Absolutely.
It's ushering in your generation. And we need your voice. And people need to listen. And they need to become aware, because if you don't, you won't shape the next generation. Mm-hmm. And you're a powerful voice for that.
Well, thank you. I mean, yeah, you're completely right about Pluto and Capricorn. Yeah.
We love you, Cappies, but
no, that was an accident. No, I meant to say Capricorn. But it's true, especially with Uranus and Aries. Well, first of all, Uranus, my Uranus is in Capricorn. So Pluto has been hovering around my natal Uranus.
Yeah.
And then in transit, it's in Capricorn, and then there's Uranus and Aries. And I really feel like that is the tension. That is the establishment trying to cling to its ways because there's still so much left to steal from the people before they clamp down on everyone, which is well on its way to happening. And let me talk about Pluto and Leo for a second. And this is just kind of my own gut feeling, because
okay, I love it.
With Pluto in Cancer, what does that mean? I mean, Pluto in Cancer is like transformational home life, family foundation. Well, they went through the Great Depression. They really learned, they grew up in the Great Depression, and they really learned the value of the dollar and the value in hard work and working for a living. And they did not have any sense of entitlement at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then comes Pluto in Leo, which this generation, I mean, that's the roaring 20s, you know, I mean, that's kind of the cusp and whatnot, but, well, actually, no, Pluto, when did Pluto move into Leo? That was like the
about 1939, 1938, okay, yeah. I believe. Yes. I believe. Double check me off the cuff, but I'm thinking.
No, that sounds about right, because, yeah, that sounds about right. They didn't go through the same tough lessons that, you know, their parents did and whatnot. They kind of reaped the benefits of, well, not the benefits, but, you know, World War I and whatnot. And then after winning that war, America winning it, it was almost like a free-for-all, like a party. And I think that the Pluto and Leo generation as a whole, which is a huge number of the baby boomers,
yeah,
they kind of, especially the bankers, the financiers, you know, and government officials as well, they kind of were just focused on themselves and how awesome society is for their own benefit, not really thinking long-term consequences, really only thinking about enhancing their own lifestyle, which is already awesome, you know. And so that kind of brings this sense of entitlement. Of course it's awesome. It's always going to be awesome. It's just going to get better. And then there were a lot of really, I don't know, I just think it's unbelievable the policies that were put into place and just kind of carried out with the Pluto and Leo generation. No offense to you guys or anything, but it's like, and then, so these are the people in power, but then the people in the middle class and whatnot, they were happy because they were benefiting from these policies and weren't considering the long-term effects. And it's not necessarily because they're selfish and whatnot. They didn't freaking know, you know? I mean, just because there wasn't access to information to get your own take on things and really kind of compile the facts together and whatnot. Plus, back then, I mean, people still think that America is always going to be the best country in the world. There's no way that we can ever be poor, et cetera, like completely in denial. And I think that's like the Pluto and Leo generation right now, you know, they're like totally in denial about what's really going on. Yeah. And Pluto and Capricorn right now is, like you said, kind of awakening the younger generation that has really seen the other side of America. And let me tell you this, when I was growing up reading in public school literature about American history, I thought to myself, wow, I'm so glad I was born in America. I'm so lucky that I was born in America. I can't even imagine what it would be like to be born anywhere else. Everything is perfect here. Everything is great here. How is that possible, though? Well, now I realize that it wasn't, actually. It's not possible. So, I mean, I'll always remember having that thought to myself, where, is this too good to be true? Back when I was a little girl, and it really has turned out to be completely way too good to be true. People are still in denial about it.
Well, and I think, you know, just talking about my generation, the Pluto and Virgo generation, you're right, we were kind of lost in the middle, and we were just going off of the privileges of the Pluto and Leo generation. But interestingly enough, in 2007, when Saturn moved into Virgo, it really did a number on all of us born during the Pluto and Virgo generation, because what ended up happening is that energy of you can have everything you want. You know what? You can refinance. You can put it on a credit card. And don't let anything stop you, because it'll work out in the end. You know, you'll figure it out later, because you're going to have your dream, and it's all available for you. And the banks are offering it. You know, here you go. You know, let's give every opportunity. But what happened is we were not living in reality, and we were, you know, you'll see a lot of Pluto and Virgo. We are the entrepreneurs. We're the small businesses. We're the construction workers. We're the hair salon people. You know, we are, you know, anything that has to do with small entrepreneur business that works with your hands. We're really hard workers. And, you know, we couldn't work as hard when we continued to allow, you know, all of these opportunities. We weren't living in real time. We weren't living in real money, if that makes sense. I'm hoping that makes sense.
Oh,
but
sense.
Yeah, and so I'm a perfect example that in 2007, of course, I'm a Virgo, and I have Jupiter in Virgo and Uranus in Virgo. And when Saturn came into Virgo, I'm telling you right now, I was in for a rude awakening, because I had created my business on the grandiose ideas of that Leo energy. And all of a sudden, I'm facing reality. And I'm facing interest rates. And I'm facing things. I'll never be able to pay this back. I'll never be able to. Working with my hands. See, you know, to be able to work with a lot of money, you've got to have a lot of grander ideas. But when you're in that Pluto-Virgo generation, we're working with our hands. And that's hard to... Do you understand what I mean? It's like we're working way down.
Right. Yeah.
So we all got over our head. And that's why you saw the huge, plummet of small businesses, communities. We all went down. We were losing our houses. We were going bankrupt because we could not sustain this idealistic dream that wasn't based in reality.
Exactly.
So now you're looking at the Pluto and Virgo generation. We're the next ones up. We're the next ones up to lead. And we've got to figure out how to do this right. So do you have any thoughts about the Pluto and Virgo generation? I mean, anything that you've observed?
Well, it's exactly like you said. I mean, the Pluto and Virgo generation, they suffered a lot back in 2008 when the economy crashed, which really just boiled down to, well, it boiled down to a number of things, but first of all, it was the subprime mortgages being passed out like candy to borrowers that they didn't even have to get a pay stub. I mean, they were just giving money out because money is being printed. And it's gotten far worse now, actually, because of the Federal Reserve. And the Federal Reserve is the central bank that is actually not a part of the U.S. government at all. It's a private entity, but they have more power than the government. They have more power than the President of the United States.
Wow.
They tell the President what they're doing. The Fed chairman, which used to be Ben Bernanke, who was a Sagittarius. So he was like, print, 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 print more money, print more money, print, 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 blow it up, blow it up. Jupiter said, yay. Well, now, the new Fed chairman is Janet Yellen. So, oh, it's a female. Oh, we've got to love her. Well, whatever. She's a Leo, and so she's actually kind of started to pull in the reins a little bit of this money printing, because what that does is, okay, say I've got $10 in my wallet. Well, if you print a bunch more money, I still have $10 in my wallet, so what do I care? Well, you care because that $10 is actually really only got $7 purchasing power. So prices have been going up in the grocery stores and everything. People are still really kind of ignoring how bad the inflation's getting. So my advice to Pluto and Virgo people would be to use your power to work with your hands, work with numbers. I think Virgo is a very numerical sign. They love quantitative things in general. Take a look at the numbers and just look at the debt that our country is in and the liabilities that we've yet to pay out and what we promise. And look at our military expenditures. Like, really use your Virgo detail-orientedness and scrutinize the power structures, which in America's case is the government. Now, people can say big business, Wall Street. No, they only really get their power now because of their special connections that they've developed with the government, because they know where the money is. So we need to really shine the flashlight on this. Well, I shouldn't say we. You guys do. I'm doing my part. You need to actually start, writing letters to the decision makers and whatnot, and just kind of. I feel like the Pluto and Virgo, they are just kind of just, like you said, overwhelmed almost.
We're kind of lost, but I think, interestingly enough, now this is just my personal experience, based on my personal experience, and I bet that those out there that are in my generation, of course I'm born in '68, but I think the Saturn and Aries, also I'm talking to, because they will also experience this. But I think one of the things is we've become so dependent on government jobs and so dependent on jobs, and they don't pay enough for the basic lifestyles that most people need to live. Because so you have to do something. You have to do something. And we are the entrepreneurs. We are the entrepreneurs, and I really feel like it's something that I've done. I've gone back to school. I love to write, but you know what? When I spent the first 20 years of my career working with my hands, working with animals. It was a wonderful, fulfilling career. But when my business went down, I had nothing to show. Nothing. It was like, oh my gosh. And all I had was, what are my talents? That's it. What talents do I have? I have my hands. I have a good mind. How can I use that in today's world? Well, today's world is global. It's through the internet. And I went to school. I got savvy on the internet. And just like we were saying, we all generations right now, have the opportunity to create our own platforms. We don't need somebody else to give us permission to be artistic, to write a book, to tell us we're good enough. We can create it through what we're doing right now. And that now gives us our own little mini world, a realm of influence.
Yes.
And I think you're going to see this kind of thing for our generation. We've got some to say. We're talented. And, you know, get on the internet. Get on YouTube. If you're a wood maker, get on and teach us how to make something with that and write a book about it. And create your own service that people can buy your book, buy your services, and be your own master, because Virgos are masters at what they do. And people really enjoy watching the real masters, not the, you know, yeah, we can watch the TV show that's all lights and glamour and the incredible, but I love watching the backyard person who's really knows how to do it. I want to buy that book.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know, that's what I'm doing, is taking my own life back and not being dependent on somebody else to tell me how I can make money. I've got to be courageous.
I mean, it really comes down to, and this is why I am a libertarian, is because I believe that the individual should be able to manifest their own life in the way that they, I mean, it's like you said, what talents do I have? What do I have to offer? What's my passion? Mm-hmm. Should be a huge part of what you decide to do to make money, because you need to be passionate about what you're doing with your life. Otherwise, you are part of the problem. And I think that's also kind of an awakening that's happening. And what I'm really excited about with Jupiter moving into Leo is that it's going to be trining Uranus and Aries and kind of giving it this pumped up Jupiter-ness that we've all been waiting for. Like myself, my struggle has been feeling this pent up, I guess I don't want to be negative, but I am angry. I'm angry with what's going on and what I see happening. And I've been doing what I can to make an impact, but I expected things to, I expected the universe to kind of help me a little bit more than it has. But with this trine now, with Jupiter and Uranus, I feel like the energy that's kind of been pent up, all this revolutionary energy, is going to be set free and expanded. Thank you, God, while Jupiter is in Leo.
Yeah. And I think there's that one thing I love about this energy is there's a confidence that will start to spread out throughout the collective. It's funny because I have Mars in Leo. And just the last week or so, I've been like, almost like it's unusual for me. But I'm almost like finding myself like, I can do this and I want to do this. Like, I don't have any boundaries. I'm not, normally I might be insecure about it, or I might think, I don't know. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm doing it. And even today, just the transition alone, I'm feeling this confidence, like, you know what? I have a voice. I have something to say. And there will be people that, you know, that connect with that. And I want to encourage them to have their voice. And that's, you know, what I wanted to share with you. You've got Mercury in Leo. You have a very powerful voice. And we need you and your generation to help us see the truth. Because we've kind of gotten lost. Our generations have gotten lost. And you guys are coming up behind us. And interestingly enough, you know, the Pluto and Capricorn generation and the Pluto and Virgo generation, we're buddies. Okay, we're in a sextile. We are going to be the ones that help each other. So I think right now we're in for some exciting times. In America, we're in for some scary times. There's a lot of issues coming to the surface. And with Neptune and Pisces coming in here, the truth is also going to continue to be revealed about our spirituality. And it's no longer going to be, okay, you know, you go to church, you come home, and, you know, you've done your duty. Neptune in Pisces is going to help us get real to our authentic being of who we are. And if we can connect with that, then you're going to see artists, writers, musicians, all of those incredible gifts come out and explode. And people will be able to, and they should be able to, make money based on their, you know, people always feel weird about it, but it's like, if we support each other, if we support the little guy, if we support the artists, if we support the people who are making these incredible things, and then we're going to support the energy, the financial energy.
It's putting your money where your mouth is. I mean, that's the beauty of capitalism and the free market. I mean, because that's really what it comes down to. And I think now people are just really sick of the huge corporations, the big banks. We know all their names, we know all their brands, and we know how evil they really are, actually, and some more than others and whatnot. And I think that it's, like you said, it's really opening up people's eyes to supporting one another in our own endeavors. And yes, paying each other for our services because we actually value that service. And we want to support each other. And I think you're completely right, because people really do kind of shy away. I don't want to make money. I'm doing this because I love it. Well, you should be able to make money doing what you love. Yep. And that's the problem with how society in America, and globally, I guess you could say, but I haven't even left this damn country, so I'm really speaking from an American person.
Hey, I'm a true blue California girl, so I know, I was raised pretty sheltered and spoiled, and, you know, and have had all the opportunities, you know, and like I said, that's why when Saturn hit Virgo, it really shocked me. I wasn't prepared for that. And that's why I think our type of discussions coming from an astrological, kind of the evolutionary astrological concept, that we can encourage and help each other. Because really, the old ways of competing, that's what keeps people down. It's kind of like that, competing. There are so many billions of people that get on to the internet and buy and purchase and look for things that connect with them. If we, as artists and as communicators, can support each other, give each other that credibility, you know, then we'll attract the energy that we're supposed to have. You know, I don't know. I think it can be a beautiful thing. And that's why I love talking to you. And you know what? We've gone almost an hour.
What? Oh, my God. Wow, time flies.
Well, you know what? This is our first discussion. I'm sorry, I was supposed to watch the clock, but you know I'm a Pisces.
I'll give you that. I knew that I should have grabbed my timer.
My Virgo tries so hard to squeeze in there between those watery planets, but I'm totally trapped into the conversation. I've completely emerged, and so nothing else in the world is happening when I'm immersed in such a great conversation.
Well, I mean, this was a great conversation, Chrystal, and I think that we should have them more often. This is kind of like an intro, I guess, kind of getting our feet wet and whatnot, but I would love to do this again.
Yeah. If those of you who are watching would like us to talk about some topics or have specific questions, you know, this was just kind of some stuff that was on our heart today that we just wanted to have a cool conversation, and hope that, you know, it stimulated some other conversations within people, you know?
Exactly. And also, I mean, Jupiter is in Leo now. It's a new beginning. It's a new chapter for Jupiter and for all of us. So it should be really great. That's kind of what we talked about a lot, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more. But any astrological topics that you guys want to hear us talk about, let us know, because, yeah, we're here. Like we said, we're kind of putting our money where our mouth is, and kind of, you know, trying to put content out there for people and to build a community online to support each other and whatnot. So thank you so much, Chrystal.
You're so welcome. I couldn't think of a better way to bring in Jupiter and Leo than talking to you.
Yes.
All right.
Hallelujah. Welcome, Jupiter and Leo. Thank you all for watching. subscribe to both our channels, leave a comment, tell us what you think, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, and ask some questions, and we'll bring them up next time. Awesome.
Bye,
All right.
guys. Love you.
Okay.